After trailing 3-0 at the intermission, they got the only goal after halftime, and they pressed high, and they outshot the Pioneers, what was it, 13-0 or something in the second half, but it was too little too late. But that is the kind of learning curve that every team has to go through.
Maybe a greater sense of urgency in the first half today against Oral Roberts. Meanwhile, the Golden Eagles come in red hot at 3-0, including a 1-0 win last time out over Tulsa, an American Athletic Conference opponent that's been good over the years. Tulsa may be down a bit this season, but still, that is a feather in the cap for ORU to pick up a win over Tulsa for the first time since 2005.
It is, and I think it's much too early in the year to dismiss Tulsa, which always has a talented team.
Yeah.
Tom McIntosh has a terrific program up there, and there's no reason to believe they won't be right in the thick of things in the American Athletic Conference race this year. But they do have a couple of setbacks that they would love to have over again. And for Oral Roberts, beating Tulsa is a big deal, and it happened for the first time since 2005. You love beating an in-state rival, and across town. They're both in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Michael Laverne, our lead official today, along with Carlos De Rios and Tony Obas, and you saw the series history as well. Yeah, big win over Tulsa. Why not try to get one over SMU on the road? But SMU leads the all-time series 4-0. Good slide tackle to poke the ball away from Bynum by Juan Marino out of Bogota, Colombia, the 5'7" sophomore.
And if Oral Roberts can come out of Dallas with a victory tonight, that would be their biggest win of the year so far. They would improve to 4-0, but Tulsa wasn't ranked when they met. SMU is ranked 11th in the country. So to come to Dallas, try to get a victory at Washburn Soccer and Track Stadium would be a huge accomplishment for this Golden Eagle team.
Here is the deadly fast Alex Petraeus, who loses it off to Andrew Nunez. Nunez, a 5-year starter at ORU now. We still have those 5th-year starters in the era of the COVID year. This is the 55th match for Andrew Nunez in an ORU uniform.
Every team just seems to have an opponent that has that one guy who seemingly has been there forever.
Meanwhile, Bynum may get an early yellow here. Yes, he does, as he ends up with a late tackle on Tiago Pato.
Bynum coming over to Laverne to explain his view of what happened. And the card was absolutely deserved. He arrives a second late and sweeps both feet out from under his opponent as Pato hits the deck almost face first. There's no way to plead innocence there, but if nothing else, maybe that's a political move, trying to let the official know, hey, I wasn't trying to hurt anybody. Sorry I arrived late. Please vote for me in the next election, whatever it is.
It's not the type of player he is. The All-American in Division II last year for CSU Pueblo, the first-year player at SMU, missed the last game with an ankle injury sustained in training. So he did not get to play at Denver, back out there today, and he's been good this season so far for SMU.
Ever since he arrived from CSU Pueblo, the Mustang coaches have talked about how he didn't really look like a new guy joining this lineup. He's very steady, very reliable in the back end. Maybe not the flashiest guy in the world, and that's okay. As a defender, your first job is to keep shots away from Cole Johnson, and he has done that through the first few games for SMU.
Yeah, for the Mustangs, they were able to come up with a shutout. Last time they were at home, 5-0 over Central Arkansas, and in that one, Cole Johnson was able to pick up 5 saves. A really stellar effort. Meanwhile, stellar effort by Bailey Sparks to grab that one. J.P. Jordan is shoved to the ground with no call. And SMU looks for something, but maybe a little bit of a misplay by Dahlman, as he ends up threading it between 2 SMU players before it's saved back by Kieran Pino.
Yeah, he sent that ball right between Pino and Sparks, and I think each one of them thought the other was the intended recipient. Really nice hustle by Pino to backtrack and keep that ball in bounds and keep possession for the Mustangs.
Skillberg giving it back for a left-footed shot by Pino all the way through and out, but a corner coming for SMU as that one was deflected by a Golden Eagle.
I wonder if Alex Petraeus doesn't realize it was deflected, because when that ball got out in front of him and went over the end line, he sort of raised his hands as if to say, oh, that was a blown chance. Because had Pino hit that ball cleanly, Petraeus could have taken 2 or 3 steps and knotted it into the empty right side of the goal. I don't think he really realized initially that it was deflected. I think he thought it was an opportunity lost.
Some nice backlighting on Kieran Pino, like he's the star of his own musical or something, as that sun beams in on the mouth of the goal here in Dallas. Pino with the left foot to the top left of the 6, but it is played away pretty smartly by ORU. Pretty easy play as it's back up the field by Pato.
Neve Berkovitz, who's making the start tonight in midfield, did a nice job splitting between 2 of the Golden Eagles to get his head on it, but didn't get much of it and ended up knocking it basically straight down, allowing Oral Roberts to clear it out.
Foul coming against ORU. As that one goes against Luis Flores. The strikers, one of the forwards for ORU, a guy that has 4 goals early on this season. That is 3rd best in the nation. An incredibly hot start he has scored in each of the first 3 matches for the Golden Eagles.
Yeah, Flores he's a dynamic player. He's a guy who's going to be on the ball and then get rid of it very quickly, whether it's finding a teammate or pulling a trigger on shots. He's tied for 3rd in the country with 4 goals, tied for 8th in the country with 8 points.
Flores up the field here to Reed Berry, who just guides it wide, and that's an outstanding look at what Flores can do. He commands a lot of attention, but then he's got Reed Berry, a 5th-year senior, along with him.
And Reed Berry is a guy who every time he touches the ball tonight or takes a shot tonight, you're going to hear some noise from the crowd. He's from right up I-75 in Allen, Texas, and there are several Reed Berry fans in attendance tonight.
Berry, the leading active scorer for ORU with 24 goals to his credit. This is his 65th match. Neve Berkovitz feeds it inside. Alex Petraeus can't handle it. Golden Eagles able to snap back to attention, and Reed Berry feeds it back up the field.
Trying to connect with Flores, and you can see the Mustangs paying ample attention to number 20 there, as Oliver Hald and Mads Westergren, the 2 SMU center backs, both within very close proximity of Flores.
Oh, Dolman tried to get it back to Petraeus on a give and go, but just did not get heavy enough of a touch on it. That's a good example of why Alex Petraeus is so dangerous in open space, the preseason offensive player of the year in the American Athletic Conference.
And this SMU front line, I think, is an example of when you hear people say that a team or a group of players is better than the sum of its individual parts. I think the different abilities that each guy has really allow the others to flourish. And obviously the one that jumps out at you, even if you're watching the Mustangs for the first time, is the fact that Alex Petraeus looks like he's shot out of a cannon when he goes flying down the right sideline. But you also have Jeldrick Dahlman in the middle, a big target who's able to work his way through traffic and get shots off from a bunch of different angles. And Frederick Skillberg on the opposite side has become a much more well-rounded wing. And those 3 guys each are dangerous individually, and as a trio, they have the potential to be kind of deadly before the season is through.
Here's the deadly Petraeus. Feeds it inside, and somehow it is blocked out in front. Neve Berkovitz got a great look at the frame. It was on its way, but blocked by an ORU defender. Let's see.
And you see Petraeus dribbling through 3-4 guys. And again, when you've got someone with that kind of speed, the automatic reaction for a defender is to sort of be back on your heels. And I think it hit Turnus in the arm, but it was from such close range that not one SMU player raised his hand saying, hey, where's the whistle for a handball there? That was played into his hand, not played by his hand.
And he never really flinched to try to control it. Just let it go off of his body in another corner. Coming up for Kieran Pino and SMU. Pino to the top of the 6 and right into the waiting arms of Jakub Gaszejczak, the freshman out of Poland, who was with a team in Poland's top division as well, so he has some pro experience training with a club in Poland.
Yeah, and I think there are elements to his game that show that. One is he's a big, strong guy. He's 6'3" and not a skinny 6'3" either. But also, even in just the first 9 minutes here, we've seen a couple of times where he has gone up between a couple of the targets on the front end of the attack for SMU. He has strength to clear out some space, seems to have good hands, and obviously he's off to a good start. He's 3-0 this year. He had a shutout against Tulsa. Very impressive for a freshman goalkeeper.
No doubt about it. Meanwhile, Luis Flores, you get a feel that he is going to go after goal a lot. And his head coach, Ryan Bush, says he's just a guy that can put it away. He doesn't take 2 or 3 chances normally to cap one. Normally he's on frame. He wasn't that time from distance as Petraeus tries to put on another little show here. But he is stood up quite smartly by Andrew Nunez, the graduate, playing in his 5th year at ORU. And that's too strong for Flores.
That description of Flores is really accurate in terms of that's one of the criteria that separates good strikers from some of the elite strikers. It's one thing to be able to settle the ball, take 2 or 3 dribbles, and then pick your corner and put it in a place where the goalkeeper doesn't have much of a chance. But if you can do that on the first touch or the second touch before the goalie is even able to regroup, get his footing, get his balance and proper positioning, then you can leave goalies really hanging out to dry. And Flores has the ability to do that.
ORU has been very good in transition this season. Transition moments. That's what Ryan Bush pointed to in the win. Although it was only 1-0 over Tulsa, we won some of those key transition moments. A long drive, and that one is on frame by Flores with the left foot. Maybe it was on its way to hit the post. We'll have to see exactly. Maybe. But it was really, really close, and Johnson had to make a play.
Right, and here you see one touch to settle it, shot, and you're right, that was, I think it might have been wide, but if so, only by inches, and obviously Johnson did the right thing. You cannot leave that to chance. And very quick reactions by Johnson to lay out. You don't want to give up a corner kick, but you much rather give that up than a shot on goal.
Haruki Yamazaki, the senior from Japan. Straight on drive to the back post, and a header that goes wide for Turnez at 6'2". Nice job by Yamazaki to hit his mark, but Turnez just could not bend it inside the near post.
When that happens, when someone sends a corner kick or a long free kick from the opposite side of the field and drops it between 4 defenders right on the head of his own teammate, it's so underappreciated just how difficult that is. It's like dropping it into a bucket from up above. The aim has to be absolutely perfect, and obviously there's practice and communication. Your Tornez coming in knows roughly where that ball's going to go, but still, to connect like that, awfully difficult. And when teams do it, I don't think, whether it ends up in the net or not, it rarely gets the appreciation it deserves.
Couple quality chances for ORU in the last few moments. Under 34 minutes to play in the opening half in Dallas. 5th all-time matchup between Oral Roberts and SMU. Last year, SMU won 4-0, and it was a hat trick on that day by Jose Ortiz. Giveaway by Jules Masakati, taking it away. And the Eagles with a little transition again. A little overly aggressive. Oliver Hall plays it away.
Imagine if you're the Golden Eagles and you're scouting SMU to get ready for this game, and you realize that the guy who scored 3 on you last year isn't even starting now.
Right.
You get to bring that guy off the bench. First of all, it makes you realize number 27, Jeldrick Dahlman, has got to be pretty good.
Must be all right.
And it also means that when substitutions do come, you have a guy coming in off the bench that Oral Roberts knows is more than capable of doing some damage.
Oral Roberts allowing SMU to kind of build here. What would you say about the defensive strategy for the Golden Eagles so far in this one?
Well, the discussion with Coach Bush before the game was about their play in transition. And at first glance, it's easy to talk about building out of the back, getting through that middle third, and getting chances in the offensive end. But equally important is transition defense. And he talked about how SMU can be really, really potent in that midfield. He said that from his perspective, the Mustangs' 2 best players are J.P. Jordan and Bailey Sparks, excuse me. And when that central midfield really gets going in terms of not just getting up and down the field, but also maintaining possession and stringing passes together, he said SMU can be as good as any team in the country. So it's easy to focus on transition offense, but for the Golden Eagles, transition defense is a critical point of focus tonight. And they're being very patient. They're packing players back in to keep numbers in that middle third to keep the Mustangs from having any fast break opportunities through the middle of the field.
And ORU able to stay on top of the ball here. Marino on his way in, plays it out wide. Andrew Nunez, the left back, trying to cross it over on Petraeus. Sends it well outside the box, and a fight for the ball now. And Yamazaki comes out with it. Maybe a chance here. Reed Berry winds up and hits an SMU player. That's J.P. Jordan, who spilled to the ground thanks to the velocity of that right footer by Reed Berry in the corner coming up.
You see the replay here. One touch to settle and then just blasts it. Did that get the inside of his knee maybe?
Midsection. I think we're looking at midsection.
May have ridden up a little higher, but Jordan went down in a hurry.
Got it one more time here. I think it's kind of waist high. Oh yeah, that one's waist high.
Yeah, and I think it actually caught him off a deflection. I think it caught him more than once. J.P. Jordan is a very, very tough player. It's going to take more than that to get him off the field, but that stings, obviously.
Yamazaki and Cole Johnson is there right in front of Victor Turnez. They were trying to do it again, this time from straight on, and Johnson secures it.
Yeah, and Turnez is a big guy, and on every set piece so far, he has come up from the back end to present a target with some height, and he's not just tall, he jumps pretty well too. He's obviously a focal point of their aerial attack, and you know the Mustangs know that. Plus the Mustangs have some size on the back end with Westergren and Hald, and Cole Johnson being able to use his hands can go up above any of them. They are going to be well aware of where number 3 is at all times.
Scoreless 15 minutes in, 96 degrees, and we've got some wind as well tonight, by the way, out of the south at 10 to 15. So SMU moving into the wind here in the opening half, and Earl Roberts working with the wind at their backs. Golden Eagles with 4 straight winning seasons under Ryan Bush coming in. But they haven't been to the NCAA tournament under Coach Bush. And they would love to turn that around this season, especially with what seems to be a veteran-laden group. Not a lot of question marks on this team.
Yeah, it feels like that tournament bid is coming. You know, whether it's this year or next or whatever, you know, we'll know in a month or two. But that bid is coming. This is a very talented team, and it's a very, as you said, a very mature team. He has recruited a bunch of international players, and there are a lot of players on this team who are 21, 22 years old. That kind of experience, having been through these battles before, is something you just can't teach no matter how talented the players are. And you give a coach a choice of having veteran experience talent or brand new fresh talent, they're going to take the veteran experience every time.
Now as Yamazaki comes up with the foul and the free kick, looks like we're going to have to do the free kick again for Kieran Pino, who was able to send it through the opening wave on a deflection through the wall and right on net. But that one's not going to count, as there's a little conference between Michael Laverne and Pino as he'll do it once more.
Pino's as good as probably anybody in the country as far as picking corners and picking his spots, whether it's threading it through a wall or finding the corner of the goal.
Free kick by Pino right into the wall this time. Pino will let it drift out as Haruki Yamazaki gave it up his body to stop that drive.
You know, when you look at SMU, you think about guys like Petraeus and Dahlman and Skillberg and all these offensive guys. If I'm scouting to play against SMU, Kieran Pino is one of the guys who comes up really early in the game plan because he does an awful lot for this team.
Long drive for Petraeus, but trying to stay onside. It was just a little too far offline. A little bit more on that drive into the wind by Oliver Hald than he needed to have. No doubt, Pino is just so solid defensively, and then what he's able to do offensively with that left foot to join the attack. We're on set pieces as well. He's been a key part of that. And an offside here, an early offside call as Luis Flores was sprung, but he was well offside, probably by a body or two.
Yeah, he was sprung offsides, and it paid off for the Mustangs, but that is such a gutsy move by that SMU defense to press that far forward. You catch him, you trap him offside, if you want to call it that. If that flag doesn't go up, he's going in one-on-one with Cole Johnson from about 40 yards out. And you can chase and you can try to catch him, but Flores can cover a lot of ground in a hurry. And Cole Johnson's a capable goalkeeper, but that's a very dangerous situation. It worked out for the Mustangs this time, but even 40 yards out, you don't want to do that too often with a player as talented as Flores.
Fun chess match between two top 25 teams so far in Dallas. Started a 4-game homestand for SMU. And for Oral Roberts, they're on the road for the next 6 games. And now JP Jordan is going to pick up a yellow here. As Jordan's tackle was a little bit after that ball came through.
And JP Jordan is a guy who, if you watch SMU, he's in the mix on plays like that a lot, right? He's a very pesky, relentless defender who chases his man from the first minute till the 90th minute. But think about this. We are 20 minutes into the 4th game of the year for Oral Roberts. That's 11 yellow cards on the Golden Eagles' opponents.
On the opponents, wow.
Right. Their style is conducive to being very, very frustrating to opponents. And you've got, is it Lamar Bynum had the first one, JP Jordan has one now, and they have to play 70 or 65 minutes carrying a yellow card. So those two in particular have to be careful. And the Mustangs have to be careful that more guys don't get into that trouble, because Oral Roberts' style lends itself to that kind of result.
Foul at midfield by Turnez. He got into Dahlman, while Sparks is down just to tie a shoe. 20 minutes in here in Dallas as the sun sets. It gets a lot more comfortable than we started. Still 95, 96 degrees, but with the breeze, doesn't feel too bad tonight.
You're going to call this another cold front?
No, I'm not going to call this a cold front, because the wind's coming out of the south, and rarely cold fronts do winds come out of the south. Now, if it was a north wind,
it can come out of the moon. It's 94.
Depressing a little bit in the last few moments. ORU hanging back, and Petraeus getting a chance right at the edge of the box. Slides it in front, and Berkovitz lets it go through. And a lot of contact there, but no call, as Skillberg was not able to reach it.
I think Frederick Skillberg, thought Berkovitz was going to pull the trigger, because Berkovitz let that ball go through, and Skillberg froze for just half a second and then realized, oh no, that's for me.
I agree.
And by the time he got accelerated forward, he was a step too late. Really nice non-touch by Berkovitz that could have set up Skillberg for a virtual slam dunk on that shot.
Really unselfish play. Meanwhile, here's Quashie coming into the box. Quashie stays on top of it, gets it to Flores. Flores can't shoot it this time. Played away by Skillberg, but another chance for ORU. Driving it deep. Pino against Quashie. Good 1v1 here, and it's won by Quashie. Come the Golden Eagles once more. Masakari tries to slide it in front. It's cleared sharply by SMU, a full clearance to midfield.
A little bit of a scramble on the back end for the Mustangs, created by the pressure from Quashie.
Petraeus goes down. Foul here on Juan Moreno. SMU faithful wanting maybe to see a little bit more than just a foul there.
The SMU faithful want that, and so does JP Jordan, who was on the receiving end of that. And he may very well be right. He's got to be careful what he says to the officials. He's already carrying a yellow card. Even if you don't say something totally egregious, if it's perceived that way, you could be sent home early, and he's got to be careful with what he says.
Yeah, we're only midway through the first half here in a scoreless match between SMU and Oral Roberts. ORU 3-0 coming into the match. As Dahlman to Sparks, a play inside to Bynum, who has wheels. He tracks it down. SMU's got a chance. Bynum on the wing. Bynum plays it in front. Dahlman knocked down. SMU thought it was a handball, clearly, and it's cleared. SMU just cannot believe that was not a handball in the box off that Dahlman drive. And now here comes Flores the other way as ORU's back in transition. Flores loses it out in front, and it's a goal kick coming for SMU. But back to the play. We've got a replay. Let's see if this Dahlman drive goes off a hand.
A lot of times on a play like this, you can determine just how much of an egregious infraction it was by players' reactions. There was another one a few moments ago where it hit an Oral Roberts player in the hand, and nobody suggested it should have been a handball. This time, everybody, just about everybody on the field in blue and white, And a majority of the players and coaches on the bench were outraged that it wasn't a handball called against the Golden Eagles.
I think it was Gabriel Atienza who had the hand out and then put it immediately behind his back after the contact. And so, no matter which way you favor in this matchup, that is a key call or non-call with 21 minutes left in the first half.
Absolutely. If you're an SMU fan, you're thinking my team should be up 2-0 by virtue of a couple of penalty kicks for handballs that were not called.
Now here's Dahlman creeping into the 18, loses it out in front, and he was looking to get tripped up there. He was looking for the call, Steve, but it doesn't come.
He was, and again, all of the officials sitting on the SMU bench certainly thought it was a trip, and even Kevin Hudson, who is normally not a very animated coach at all, he had his head in his hands in a display of disbelief that one was not called, as Dahlman tried to split two Oral Roberts defenders and ended up face first in the grass. No whistle.
Yeah, it looked more like the defender just kind of stood his ground and became a big speed bump for Dahlman as the Golden Eagles tried to strike back. Ball played to Pato. Right back to Flores. But Flores loses control, and Bynum has the easy clearance here for SMU and some possession into space with 20 minutes left in the first half.
Nice play by Bynum, not just to step forward and intercept that pass, but then to have the patience to let opposing players run past him and cut back against the grain, rather than just running onto the ball, panicking and sending it 50 yards downfield to nobody, keeping possessions for the Mustangs.
Well, again, Bynum, an All-American at the Division II level, and has come right in to the Division I level and has shown he has the maturity, he has the skill to compete here as well. And not just to compete, but to start for a top 25 team. Sparks' ball kind of lifts its way through to Dahlman. And eventually, it's played ahead up the field, and a good chance for Barry. 1v2. Barry drives it across the mouth of the goal, but there's nobody home for the Golden Eagles on that solo jaunt into SMU territory.
And we've seen a couple of chances here for the Golden Eagles by Barry and by Flores, where the ball gets sent forward, sometimes into the right position where they can run onto the ball, but the Golden Eagles do not have a lot of numbers forward. They're basically so far asking Barry and Flores to make these runs almost on their own. And as talented as they are, and they are, it's a lot to ask to send your strikers forward and say, here, go 1-on-3, or go 1-on-4, or even 2-on-4. SMU also has a lot of talent in the back end, and so to ask a player to beat 2 or 3 men by himself is a very tall order.
So much respect for SMU here, you can tell, as Skilberg goes down in the middle of the field. Pino on it now, finds Dahlman. Skilberg had it for a moment. It's knocked away from him. The Golden Eagles, again, they're more of a transition team early this season. It's exactly what Pato's trying to do. And Pato bumped by Jordan. Remember, he's already got a yellow. This is just a simple foul against J.P. Jordan.
Right, but that play is exactly what J.P. Jordan is. Relentless. He never, ever, ever stops chasing the ball, and it drives you nuts if you're on the other team. You are really sick of number 13 before the end of the game. But that's how he plays. He doesn't know any way other than to chase and chase and chase, trying to pop the ball free. But he's got to do it within the parameters of what will make sure that another card doesn't come out of the official's pocket.
Oh, no doubt. And on the replay, you could see where Jordan made contact with the ball, and then the body, certainly that saved him, as the Golden Eagles try to make another run. And here comes Pato. Pato into the box, turned away by Bynum. Pato pops it into the air, and Cole Johnson skies for it at the top of the 6 and tries to spring Skilberg back the other way.
Good idea to try to find Skilberg, but he's got to have more on that throw. Skilberg had to wait for it, and that allowed Quashie to backtrack and knock it away for the Golden Eagles. Nice save by Cole Johnson, but prior to that, really nice play by Bynum, who used his shoulder to bump the player off the ball. And in the box, that's such a risky move, because you don't have to be guilty. You just have to be viewed as guilty. And all of a sudden, your goalie is staring at a penalty kick. Terrific play by Lamar Bynum.
Pato, a smallish 5'8", as Jordan goes down for a moment on the play, and there's going to be substitutions allowed here for both sides. 16:48 left in the opening half, and now we're going to get a water break here, a hydration break, as you get a good look at Bynum using that shoulder.
Yeah, he turned his right shoulder, and he actually turned his shoulder away from Bato, and that may have saved a call there, because he basically had Bato running into the back of his shoulder with no call.
Hydration break with 16:48 left in the opening half. A scoreless top 25 game in Dallas. SMU and Oral Roberts on ESPN.
Businesses need 5G solutions today. That's why they choose T-Mobile for Business. MLB partners with T-Mobile to not only enhance the fan experience, but to advance how the game is played. AAA relies on T-Mobile's network to stay connected nationwide so they can help get their members back on the road. And we're helping Pano AI innovate to stop the spread of wildfires. Now's the time to see what America's largest 5G network can do for your business.
Long weekends are for you time. You drilling, you clearing, you planting, and you saving. Do Labor Day your way by shopping at the Home Depot.
And last but not least, the wonderful crew at McDonald's.
Hello, welcome to McDonald's. May I take your order, please? ご注文はお決まりですか?
Are you gonna order something? Or...
Welcome back into Dallas. John Little, Steve Lansdale, and our entire ESPN crew. As always, great things happening on the hilltop here in Pino. Mads Westergren and the SMU Mustangs playing to a scoreless tie so far with number 25, ORU. Golden Eagles already with wins this season over UC Santa Barbara, 4-0 at Cal Poly. They won a shootout, 5-3. Not literally a shootout. We don't do that in the regular season. You know what I'm saying. And then they beat number 23 Tulsa as well by a 1-0 score. So ORU and Jakub Gasheshak, an outstanding start to this year. They're trying to continue it here in Dallas.
I think one of the great things about our conversation with Coach Bush was asking him, are you surprised to be standing here at 3-0?
Has about 30
this team
seconds to answer.
exceeded your preseason thoughts about your team? And he said, no. We're a mature team. We're an experienced team. We're a talented team. We've won a lot of games in recent years. We expect to be making this progress. There have been times in years past when this wasn't always the most even matchup, but both of these teams are in the top 25 for a reason, and there's no reason to believe this won't go down to the wire for 90 minutes.
Obviously, he's confident in his team's ability.
And should be.
Yeah, I think he was trying to come across as humble, and I believe he is a humble person. But when you say, oh, no, I thought my team was going to be 3-0, it can be misconstrued. He didn't want to be misconstrued, so he hemmed and hawed for a second. But
right, and I wasn't trying to suggest that, his team wasn't deserving, but beating Tulsa is a big win. Mm-hmm. Not just because it's a crosstown rival, but because Tulsa's in the top 20 every year. That's a team that has beaten an awful lot of programs, and it doesn't matter who you are. You beat the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. That's a terrific win. Coach Bush expected his team to win. Probably expects them to win tonight.
Got the 1-0 win at home, and that is the only home match for them of their first 9 matches this season. How tough is that for a side to have to do that early in the season like this?
Scheduling like that is miserable when you're going through it, and then at the end of the year when you're playing tough conference games, you're very appreciative of having gone through it because you have been through the battles in every sense.
Good block by Nunez. Berry reaches it, keeps it in until the very bitter end. Berry just trying to make that tiptoe run down the goal line and figure out a way to stuff one home.
Terrific run by Berry to get past both Mads Westergren and Lamar Bynum. When there really wasn't a lot of room, you see him get around Bynum, turns the corner. Bynum has to let him go at that point. And Berry with a lucky chance as he tried to get past Westergren and popped the ball basically straight up to himself. And was able to get a shot toward the goal, but it ended up in the side netting. But really nice run by Berry.
SMU brings in Jose Ortiz, who scored the hat trick against Oral Roberts last season. He replaces Childrett Dahlman. He'll be the target player on the offensive side as SMU looks to attack and tries to come up with something here as we near the end of the half. 14 minutes left in the half. If you're joining us late, a controversial non-call on a possible handball inside the box that would have given SMU a penalty shot. Well, it did not get called, so it's one of those things that you'll never see it in the scoreboard, that there was a controversial moment right here, but SMU very easily feels like they could be up 1-0 right now.
Yeah, I think that's true. And if you ask Kevin Hudson or any of the players after the game, they probably won't say much about it because there are calls that could go either way in every game. And I think the Mustangs did a nice job of, bouncing back and moving on to the next play, which you have to do. It's one thing if you do that against a poor team, but against a team like Oral Roberts, if you dwell on a call that wasn't made or was made against you, chances are you're going to get burned. You cannot focus on what did or did not happen. You have to focus on what's next, and they've done that.
Meanwhile, as SMU works into the win here in this opening half, Oral Roberts has had a couple chances as well. In fact, they've got the only shot on goal, and they're out shooting SMU 5-2 in the opening half.
Yeah, and again, that speaks to the style that Oral Roberts is going to play. They want to control transition defense, and they obviously have enormous respect for the weapons up front for the Mustangs. So they will pack it in one form or another.
Good job by Buster Greenville. Hustle over and keep that one in possession. And in spite of the fact that it feels as though SMU is winning possession about 75% to 25% right now, they're not necessarily obviously winning the shots on goal like that.
Right, and that's the difficulty in playing a team that has this kind of defensive stance that Oral Roberts is playing. It can be very, very frustrating. No matter how many Alex Petraeuses and Frederick Skilbergs and Jose Ortizes and guys like that you have up front, you have to be patient and switch fields.
Lopez inside. Lopez got it back. And then a drive by Jalen Mitchell ends up in a corner. And just as we say that, a long ball, Lopez, Ortiz, Lopez, Mitchell nearly ends up in the back of the net.
And terrific job by Giovanni Herrera just throwing himself in front of that shot by Mitchell. You see the ball played out. Number 25 runs onto it, and Herrera just throws his left leg out. And look at this big, huge bear hug from his goalkeeper, Jakub Grisheshak.
And Pino has another chance at the corner, the third for SMU. Another chance to get on the scoreboard for the Mustangs. Pino drives it, line drive this time, a couple of headers. The last contact is made by SMU for a goal kick.
Yeah, Salvo tried to redirect that ball. Needed just a little bit more change of direction to get it on target.
Pino drove that one, and as you said, Salvo just needed that little redirection.
And Sparks was outside that back post, but about a step too far, and by the time the ball got to him, it was already past him. He didn't have time to react.
So for SMU, racked up their third and fourth shots of the match within the last minute, but nothing has been on frame so far for the Mustangs after they outshot Denver on the road 20-5. Now here's Castro inside. What a diving stop as Harvey Castro rips one, and Jakub Grisheshak lays out with that 6'3" frame to knock it away.
Nice shot by Castro, better save by Grisheshak. And you're right. If he's not 6'3", there's a goal on the scoreboard at this point, because that was a beautiful shot by Castro. I don't know that he got completely 100% of it behind it. And from the angle we have, it may have hit that goal post, but just like Cole Johnson at the other end, Grisheshak wasn't taking any chances. Stretched out beautifully to keep it scoreless with 10 minutes remaining in the half.
Bailey Sparks. And at the top of the six, it is headed away sharply by ORU. Meanwhile, it was officially scored, a shot on goal by Harvey Castro, and the first one for SMU in this one. And Castro gets it over to the electric freshman, Jalen Mitchell. Mitchell dribbling down to the goal line and has it taken away by the outside backender Nunez. But Nunez gives it right back to Castro. Castro plays it into space. Sparks looking to create. SMU with all 10 all the way across the midfield stripe, ready to attack. Here's a long run again for the speedy Lopez. Lopez pokes it in the air, and a relatively easy play by Gasheshak.
And Lopez really had to take a little off of that because he ran the risk of kicking right into an opponent, and it ended up being sort of a pop fly that Gasheshak was able to snatch.
Gabriel Atienza is the man down just to the left of the goal. And he was right in that area, as you mentioned, with Milton Lopez going after the ball and trying to redirect it toward the goal. Let's see if there was some contact here.
You see Lopez, if he swings through, he could really crack a player in the leg or the knee. You see Gasheshak, and obviously as big as he is and being able to use his hands, he goes way above everybody else. And it looked like he did get Atienza, but not that hard.
Yeah.
It stings a little, but he'll be able to run that off. And
a little clip, if you will.
Yeah, and this is absolutely critical for Oral Roberts, for Atienza to be able to stay in, because he is an enormous part of what they do on the back end.
Yeah, the left center back is a sophomore out of Sao Paulo, Brazil. The transfer from Cali College has been a step-in starter for ORU, and he's doing everything he can to stay on the field. He and Vitor Turnez have limited opponents to a goal a game early on this season. Plus, of course, the outstanding keeping from Gasheshak as well. Extended delay here. Took about 45 seconds for Atienza. Be ready to go again. And here come the Golden Eagles with some rare possession. And a long feed up the field to Damani Harris. Harris, to the middle of nowhere, as Lopez easily is able to pull it away. And Lopez, fighting 1v1 here, is going to be called for the foul, thanks to that outstanding hustle by Tiago Pato. How about that?
That could be sort of like the pass interference calls that you see in football games. Looked like Lopez got his arm around Pato's body. Yeah, you see his left arm went out around behind number 8 and gave him just a little tug on the rib cage, and it was enough to knock him off balance and pull him to the ground.
Ends up in a free kick for Pato on the angle. Pato, if they want to go with the right. Felipe Medina is out of Arlington, just a little west of Dallas here, Bowie High School. He was a district rival of SMU's Jose Ortiz. The drive in, a really good ball, but it's just wide on the header once more. Another great header chance for ORU. And this one is driven a little bit outside by Oral Roberts.
And you see Cole Johnson imploring his defense to get a little bit better organized on those resets, or on those set pieces, because that header by Barry comes down, and if it had been on target, it's in the back of the net, because Cole Johnson really didn't move until it was almost at the goal line. Fortunately for the Mustangs, it was wide of the far post.
Jose Ortiz, a one-bounce liner right at Gasheshak, who smothers it, but Ortiz, nice one-timer after bouncing it to himself.
And that's what Ortiz is. He is a shooter, a volume shooter. He scored 3 against Oral Roberts the last time these two teams met, and he scored, 133 in high school in 3 years. If he gets the ball, he's going to pull the trigger from somewhere. And again, this is a guy that SMU has the luxury of bringing off the bench.
Still has another season as well. And foul here on Golden Eagles will give it to SMU with about 6.5 to play here in the opening half. And the Golden Eagles have been pesky, as advertised in this one. SMU allowed to play with the possession for most of the evening, but it's not like they've been peppering Gasheshak until the last few minutes or so.
No, and it's absolutely by design what the Golden Eagles are going to do. They're going to play. I mean, look, there's not a white jersey within 10 yards of midfield. They're going to play 11 back, pack the zone in front of the defensive zone in front of the goal, and make the Mustangs switch fields back and forth, looking for a gap. And with that many white jerseys around, there just aren't many gaps to shoot through.
Yeah, Pino mishit that one. And that long ball for Barry comes up short. Westergreen able to play it with his hip with under 6 minutes to play in the opening half. SMU trying to get on the board. Ortiz, the header toward the top of the box, but it's poked away once more by Atienza. He's had a good first half.
Really nice play by Salvo there to get his foot in there on Pato, get the ball away, and not get called for a tripping foul.
Here comes Pino once more on that left side. The give and go back into the box. And Mitchell, just could not reach it after Castro had tipped it back toward the 6. Mitchell eventually almost able to hold that one for an opportunity.
It's one of those where you've got a guy right in front of you and you're not sure which way he's going to go, so you freeze for just half a second, and that half a second was just enough for the Golden Eagles to clear it out.
Aggressive play by Ortiz, and SMU back in possession. Bailey Sparks right back to Mitchell. Mitchell on that left side, the acceleration, he's so fast, and ends up in a corner for SMU as the attempted centering feed is turned away by Ternez.
Yeah, you're going to see Mitchell looks at him and then steps over the ball and accelerates. And you're right, when he hits the jets, he can really, really go. Nice job by Ternez to get over and prevent a cross into the middle of the field. You don't want to give up corners, but that's certainly the better option at this point. This time, of course, it's different because you have Sparks serving it instead of Pino.
Bailey Sparks swinging it in at the near post, the header, and Jakub Gasiewczak is equal to Mads Westergreen.
You think the Golden Eagles aren't glad that their goalie is 6'3"? First he goes up over an offensive player to punch it out. Then he goes up again over 2 defenders and snatches it right in front of the crossbar.
Oh, makes it look relatively easy while doing it as well.
That is a big man playing big in goal for Oral Roberts.
And classification-wise, just a freshman. I forgot to ask how old he was, but he doesn't look like a 17, 18-year-old guy on the field.
No, and what's he going to look like in 2 or 3 years?
Exactly.
That's going to be a full-grown man back in the pipes for these Golden Eagles.
Let's look at this chance one more time for SMU coming off the corner.
You see the corner, and first he goes up over Ortiz, and then on the second, on the follow-up,
Westergreen putting
he's
that
able
one
to go
on
up over Bynum. And again, he's the tallest guy on the field right now. And with the advantage of being able to go up and use your hands, it's certainly an advantage for him. But he used every inch of that height and those long arms and that jumping ability to keep it scoreless with 3 minutes left in the half.
Oral Roberts graduated the Summit League Keeper of the Year last season, and they may have another of that ilk this year with Gasiewczak.
Coach Bush and his staff have to be very excited about the future for Gasiewczak.
Lopez somehow finds it in the box again, but just a lot of white jerseys there as you continue to mention Steve. Even opportunities in the box sometimes appear to be wanting, as ORU is doing a really nice job with their defensive intensity. They've been incredibly disciplined in this opening half as well.
They have, and sometimes it's just a matter of crowding up the lanes rather than purely tactical and positioning that goes into it. Sometimes you just need bodies there, and Lopez did a really nice job of trying to wiggle his way through traffic. You can do that by very technical dribbling, or sometimes you can just sort of plow through, as he did on a couple of those. But eventually those chances catch up with you, and there just isn't enough room left.
We'll see if SMU is able to do that later, but right now the very speedy Juan Moreno is in, and from a bad angle he drives it in on Cole Johnson, and Johnson snags his second save of the night.
What a run by Moreno, who, by the way, is retreating all the way back to his spot on the left side. He was sailing up the right side. You don't see many players turn the corner on Harvey Castro who can really run, but Moreno did exactly that. You're not going to run as fast with the ball as you do without it, and for him to outrun a guy like Castro and get a nice, powerful shot on frame, terrific run by Moreno.
Absolutely, in full gait, able to do that as well. Minute left in the opening half. Top 25 action. 3-0 ORU, ranked number 25. Before the next poll, SMU ranked number 11. Here's Kieran Pino, a centering feed right back at him. Pino gets another look. Pino leaves it behind him. and now makes a run into the box. Pino back on the left foot, the right foot out to Bailey Sparks. Tries to center it for Mitchell, and it's played away with 45 seconds left in the half. Here's a drive toward Bynum, headed down. Here's a goal by SMU. Jose Ortiz scores his second of the year. The relentless pressure by the Mustangs. And the junior from Arlington delivers. 1-0 SMU.
I think the Golden Eagles are going to be ready to see Jose Ortiz graduate. That's 4 goals in a game, in the last game and a half against ORU. And just, that's a very Ortiz play. Right place at the right time. One times it past Gasheshak. Terrific shot by Ortiz. Puts the Mustangs on the board.
How huge is that for SMU to break through with under a minute left in the opening half, the 45th minute to get on the board?
Coaches in every sport will talk about that. Every score counts, right? But if you can do it right before halftime or right before an intermission, it can be an enormous lift for your team, and just as much, it can be really deflating for your opponent. That totally changes what both teams will talk about at the intermission. It'll certainly send the Mustangs into the break with a bit of a lift. And now the Golden Eagles have to go regroup and say, okay, how do we get the equalizer here? It'll be interesting to see how they change their shape, if at all, in the second half, because now you can't sit back and clog up the defensive end and hope that you can keep the Mustangs at bay. Obviously, you still have to play defense, but now you got to play a little more for offensive chances as well.
Long drive. Johnson goes to the ground intentionally to eat up some time here in the opening half, as he's been able to come up with the first half clean sheet. Kicks it into the distance, and that'll do it for the opening half. SMU waits till the final 40 seconds of the first half to get on the board. Sets as well here in Dallas. First of a couple of top 25 matchups this week at Washburn Soccer and Track Stadium. And another top 25 matchup coming up on Friday, as well, as SMU brings in another top 25 team in St. Louis. Also tomorrow on ESPN, number 7 FIU taking on UCF. Number 14 team in the nation. That one is in Orlando. That should be a good one as well. You can find that one on ESPN+.
That Friday game between SMU and St. Louis is important for a number of reasons. One, they're 2 really good teams. 2, Kevin Hudson, the Mustangs coach, is from St. Louis. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe his father played for St. Louis. And years ago, SMU St. Louis was a marquee matchup every year. And because of scheduling and conference shifts and that kind of thing, it became a game that wasn't played every year. But to those involved in that game, it means an awful lot. And just from a standings standpoint, it's a very important game because both teams are really good and among the better teams in the nation, and it's a great measuring stick game.
Yeah, if you're thinking about at-large bids this early in the season, you know, that is a marker stone win. Whoever is able to get the result, or obviously come up in a tie. Coming up on Friday, it's a really big match for both sides.
Yeah, every coach in America, by the way, will tell you we're not thinking about at-large bids in the first week of September, but you're right. It is one of those games that can be significant later on.
Dahlman able to get his head on it, but not secure it. Here's a secondary chance for SMU as Bynum drives it in. Sparks just missed that one, and Gasheshak is able to secure it.
One of those tweener serves, just a little too tall for Sparks and not quite tall enough to find Skillberg, who was 5 or 6 yards behind him.
Gasheshak all but perfect in this one. Really had no chance on that Ortiz rebound, and he wasn't really the one that gave up the rebound anyway. It was the defense in front of him. So for ORU, they've given up that goal, and now, as you mentioned, heading into the half and at the half, how does ORU play? They really were not pressing SMU at all in the opening half. Will they have to, down by a goal now?
They will, and I don't think they'll change their shape too much immediately. I mean, we've still got 42 and a half minutes left in the second half. But you're right. The chances that ORU got in the first half were either off of set pieces, corners, or they simply sent the ball long and asked Reed Berry and Luis Flores to go get it and then try to make something magic happen, which those two players are more than capable of doing, but unfortunately they're facing a defense that also has very capable players, and there were more of them. So those guys were going 1-on-2, 1-on-3. If this score holds up for another, let's say, 15 or 20 minutes, I think you'll see the Golden Eagles change their shape, bring and start pressing forward, either adding another on the forward line.
Ooh, here's Bynum and just misses Dolman. Excuse me, could have made it.
No, you're absolutely right. And Dolman wants that one back too, because that was about a foot out in front of him, and he was just a hair late to just poke that into the right side of the net, which, by the way, was wide open.
How much is he watching the line next to him while he's watching the ball come in as well, not wanting to be offside?
Yeah, you have to be aware of it, but if you spend your whole time looking at the linesman on the far side, you're going to miss a lot of chances because you're not paying enough attention to the ball. So guys like that, Dolman, Jose Ortiz, or even the wingers, Petraeus and Skilberg, you have to rely on peripheral vision, and you've got to rely on sort of the feel for the game. Even if you can't see Tony Obas, the assistant referee on the far side, you have to know that there's a white jersey over to the left, or there's a white jersey over to the right, and be aware not only of where they are, but the angle you're facing, so you can gauge whether or not you're in an offside position based at least off of that one player.
But like you said, Dolman wanted it back. Luis Flores is able to fire it forward. A great chance is just wide by Reed Berry. That close to Berry, the outstanding veteran for the Golden Eagles, knotting this up at 1 in transition.
That was a beautiful shot. First, it was a great serve out of the back that gave him a chance to make a run, and Oliver Hald stayed with him step for step, but not enough to really close that gap. And that was a gorgeous shot by Berry. It was past Cole Johnson, and it did not miss the right post by much. As you said, that close to getting the equalizer for the Golden Eagles.
You brought it up in the first half. He's from Allen, which is just about 30 minutes to the north here, up 75. Scored 24 goals in his career. He was looking to make it a quarter century right here near his hometown. Now SMU on the attack, playing vertically. Sparks can't catch up with that one, but it is headed away by Atienza, and a throw in for SMU quickly.
Remember how we said in the first half that Oral Roberts is probably ready for Jose Ortiz to graduate? I promise you there are some teams that are ready for Reed Berry to graduate.
No doubt.
He has put up a ton of goals and given some coaches and some defenses absolute nightmares.
Here comes Petraeus. Petraeus into the box, and good sharing there by Neve Berkovitz to bounce it back to Sparks, but Sparks looks like he was kind of caught in between and unawares.
Yeah, I think Sparks was trying to flip it over the top to Jeldrick Dahlman, and the two weren't on the same page and sort of looked at each other like, where were you? Where was that going to be?
And this is early in the season for these, front four to be playing together, front five if you include the midfielders, Berkovitz and Sparks, with the three forwards as well, and they're going to find their footing together.
Of course they are, and it's something that we've brought up in a previous game as well, but Dahlman is such a unique story. He's got 4 goals through the first few games here, but this is his 5th school in 5 years, which is crazy. I mean, in this day and age, we're used to seeing athletes transfer from one school to another.
Oh, a huge takeaway, and that one is just wide as well. This time Johnson gets a piece of it. First off, Juan Marino taking it away, feeding Reed Berry, and Cole Johnson saves the day, getting just enough of this one.
Beautiful pass. I think the Mustangs thought Berry might have been in an offside position, and Cole Johnson's best save of the night so far is with the inside of his right knee. This ball was going 5-hole through his legs, and he got just enough of it to deflect it. And I said a moment ago, there are some teams that are going to be glad when Reed Berry graduates. I bet Cole Johnson's going to be pretty glad, because Berry has been all over the place and created chances not only tonight, but last year as well.
Corner kick goes right into the side of the net. The 3rd save for Cole Johnson, and certainly a beauty, as he's only given up 1 goal at home so far this season. He's looking to keep it that way. Right now, the lead standing up for SMU at 1-0. 37 minutes left in the second half of this one. Up to Petraeus. Knocks it down, but 1v2 has it played away by Atienza. Now here are the Golden Eagles, and again, we talk about transition for the Golden Eagles, and they've got the guys to do it. Joe Quashie here.
They do get through the middle third very, very quickly. Even when they're playing back in sort of a conservative stance to try to limit the chances by the Mustangs, when they push forward with a lot of numbers and a lot of speed, and that has certainly served them well through the first 3 games of the year. We're going to have to see, as this clock keeps ticking, if the score remains the same, we're going to have to see more and more of that. They're going to have to bring more numbers forward to try to create additional chances.
Just nobody home as Flores tried to flick it out in front of Cole Johnson, but there were no joining numbers there for him. Still, more chances for ORU coming more quickly in the second half.
They've got to start really attacking in waves, not just sending Flores and Barry forward, but sending multiple players through.
Neve Berkovitz trying to find Dolman. Nice job to get back here by Turnus. And Turnus chases it all the way down over the goal line for the goal kick.
You don't often see opposing players sort of congratulate each other, pat each other on the back, but Turnus and Dahlman did exactly that there a moment ago as they each chased to the corner flag.
The German and the Brazilian, a lot of respect for each other.
A lot of international players on both teams tonight.
And you were observing coming in that Oral Roberts is just, and Kevin Hudson was, just one of those frustrating teams. A lot of international players, very, very mature. This one gets popped into the air a little bit strong. Bynum needs to make a play. He can't quite do it. This is dangerous right against the side of the goal. And ends up in a goal kick, but yet another dangerous play by Oral Roberts as the Golden Eagles continue to attack.
I don't think they've really changed their shape yet, but you can see they are pushing a little more. And you see Herrera getting around Bynum. Bynum again, very lucky not to get a whistle there as he reached out and grabbed a jersey. And the only thing that I think kept Herrera from getting a shot was that he was virtually on the goal line himself. And so his plays were either to slam it into the side netting or at least into Cole Johnson. And he wasn't really able to turn it back.
Giovanni Herrera defending on Bynum here, but Bynum's able to get it through. Dahlman back to Bynum. Bynum trying to feed it toward the goal, but blasts it just wide to the left.
You see Bynum come all the way up from his right back position. He's dribbling through the middle third, and the Golden Eagles really didn't close in on him that tight. And when he got to just outside the top of the 18, you could see him looking to either side, like, who do I pass to? Who do I pass to? Who's open? Well, why not just crank it? And he did, and he didn't miss the goal by much. Really nice run by Lamar Bynum.
Lamar Bynum, really talented. Yes, he's an outside back, so technically a defender, but scored 4 goals each of the last 2 seasons at his Division II school as he was starring for CSU Pueblo. So he's got that knack for scoring on those outside back runs.
He does. And if you can add that to what he's giving you in terms of just steady, reliable defensive play, again, that just adds to sort of the multifaceted approach that SMU can have in the offensive end. Bynum's been a very nice addition to this team.
This game's starting to get even more exciting. Jose Ortiz scored the only goal of the match. 40 seconds left in the opening half. And now here comes ORU trying to equalize it. Luis Flores, you got to watch him. 4 goals on the season. Flores still on top of it at the top of the 18. A good job to dislodge it, and maybe SMU has some numbers as Skilberg runs through the middle. Berkovitz on his right. Skilberg drops it off. Here's Alex Petraeus driving it and blocked by Francisco Lopez defending.
Probably not horrible that Petraeus' shot was blocked because Berkovitz was standing about 2 yards offside. But if you're SMU, you'd love to see number 16 bury that. Obviously, if it had gone in the goal, you're celebrating. If he had tried to pass it in the middle, the flag would have gone up.
A takeaway. What a shot from distance by Pato. But Johnson is equal to a shot that may have surprised a lesser goalkeeper.
I think it did surprise him because he was leaning to his left a little bit, and then you see him stretch back out to his right. He's not quite as tall as Gasheshak, but he certainly is a very positionally sound goalkeeper. And look at this. You see it, and he gets his hands in front of it. Ball goes up, and it looks like he's not even aware of where it went off his hands as he's looking around a little bit. Oh, there it is.
So he's asking his
scoops it up with one hand.
Calm down a little bit.
But that was a terrific shot from distance.
Right on frame, and yet another save. The fourth of the game for Johnson, as he has been called upon to be a little bit more busy this time around in the second half. Berkovitz called for the foul here on SMU. Neve Berkovitz getting his first start of his career. He scored a goal against UCA. You see the 5'8" freshman from Israel, but he's a guy that has played on Israeli national teams, the U17 and under 18 as well, and he's 21 years old and a freshman.
Exactly. And you just don't see a lot of freshmen who are 21 years old have that kind of maturity, both in terms of your understanding of the game, but also physical maturity, just strength. Jalen Mitchell started the first few games and certainly gives an element that's hard to replace because he's insanely fast. Berkovitz doesn't match that speed, but he gives a different look. He gives a different element. There's a grit, a toughness, and he can crank shots from distance as well. He may not have quite the sprinting speed that Mitchell has, but he's a danger from about 30 yards in at least. He can really crush it. And again, like you said, he's a freshman, but he's 21 years old. This is a full-grown man.
Midfield substitution there. Oh, absolutely. And, Jalen Mitchell is an outstanding recruit, preseason freshman All-American. But a lot's been thrown on him, as he started the first 3 games of the year. It's time for a little bit of a different role here 3 games in. This one played right off the line, but it was out. A good run there by Giovanni Herrera, and the graduate transfer from NOC Tonkawa just could not keep this off the line.
That's the 3rd run by Herrera, and I'm not sure that ball was fully over the line.
I agree with you.
That's the 3rd run by Herrera that got all the way to the end line. And if he keeps getting by Bynum over on the right side and through the middle defenders over on the right side of the SMU defense, he's going to create a chance that's going to be really dangerous. They've got to figure out a way to handle number 16.
A couple of substitutions up front. You see Damani Harris from Kingston, Jamaica, coming on for ORU to play one of those forward positions. SMU makes a change at their striker spot. Dahlman is off, and the goal scorer Ortiz is on, and he is overplayed by Quashie here. 29 minutes to go in Dallas. SMU leads the all-time series against Oral Roberts 4-0, trying to make it 5-0. This may be the best Oral Roberts bunch that the Mustangs have ever played.
I think it's the best Oral Roberts team I've seen, and I certainly don't see all of the Golden Eagles games, but this is a mature team, a veteran team, physical strength. They are smart. They play, they eliminate chances for their opponents, and they've got a big athletic goalkeeper who can reach all 4 corners of that net. They have a lot of ingredients for a team that can be very dangerous down the stretch. And
they're a team over the last 4 years, as we mentioned, that has had a winning record every single season. And in many of those seasons, they've come up with double-digit wins, but they haven't been able to break through and win the Summit League Championship, the tournament, and win that automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. And, it's a long way to go between now and then, but this may be the type of team, veteran team, that's built to do it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we talked about it in the first half. It just feels like that postseason run is coming. It feels like an NCAA tournament bid is coming. Because Coach Bush and his staff have done a wonderful job building this team and developing this program, and it's clearly headed in the right direction.
Giovanni Herrera knocked down. It'll be a free kick for the Golden Eagles near the side. Herrera, who won 4 state championships at the highest level you can in Oklahoma, 6A for Union High School in Tulsa during his time. So he's a hometown kid. Turning, Luis Flores has it knocked away. Bailey Sparks plays it ahead. Neve Berkovitz outside, trying to spring. Skillberg, and now here comes Ortiz, but Ortiz well offside. Oh, by a good 7-8 feet or so.
Yeah, and Skillberg wants that one back, because if he had settled that with a cleaner touch, then Ortiz is cruising in one-on-one with Gasheshak.
Yeah, you see when Ortiz turns.
Just a little bit of an awkward touch, and then he flicks it forward, and that by that point, you're right. Ortiz is miles offsides.
Again, ORU, pesky as they are, Moreno plays it to the edge, and there's another flag. Now an offsides coming against the Golden Eagles. A little tit for tat here, as this was Haruki Yamazaki, the senior from Japan, who was over the line.
And the Golden Eagles clearly are building and trying to go down their left wing. It's been Herrera several times. It's been Yamazaki there.
I said earlier, where's the wind? The wind is back.
The wind is back.
Okay, I don't even know if it's Yamazaki that was off sides. It was off there. It may have been Damani Harris, but either way.
No, I think when the ball was played, Yamazaki was several feet offsides, and then the defense caught up to him in a scramble. Anytime you see an offensive player behind you.
Here comes Petraeus. Off to Bailey Sparks, joining the attack. 5 rushers in for SMU. Sparks still on it, drives it, and has it turned away by Giovanni Herrera, who's been kind of everywhere in this second half. Long ball, looking for Harris. Too strong. Here comes that wind. Whipping as much as it has all night, about 15 miles an hour out of the south, behind the SMU keeper. And with that wind, it's driven deep into the waiting feet of Gasheshak.
And in some circumstances, you would think a team that is playing from behind would be hampered by playing into the wind. But I'm not sure that's really the case with Oral Roberts, because they are so patient going through the midfield and building out of the back. They're going to have that wind is certainly going to play a factor if they keep trying the approach they had in the first half, sending long balls up for Flores and Berry. But it seems like they're trying to build with numbers now rather than just sending long balls and asking their top end guys to go get it and make a play on their own. And so I don't know that this wind is really going to significantly hamper that offense at all.
Starting the second half is Alex Salvo, but he has it pulled away, and another rush for Juan Moreno. He's been the man of the second half, I think. It's recovered by Yamazaki. Twirling and playing it out right for Kwashi. Kwashi the long strides to catch up. The chip in, it's knocked down by Pino, and he's able to spring Frederick Skillberg, who goes ahead and slows up, seeing that he doesn't have the numbers he wants. 25 minutes to go, and SMU up 1-0.
Such nice patience by Pino, who, you know, in that situation, it's so easy for a defender to panic.
Ortiz is offside.
And just send a bomb up into the seats. But even with an offensive player closing in on him, he patiently waited and just toe poked it ahead to Skillberg to get it out of trouble.
SMU's ready to bring in 3 when they're allowed. They've got Castro ready to check in, along with Jalen Mitchell and Milton Lopez, all who factored into that late first half barrage that ended up in a goal by Jose Ortiz. Kwashi crossed up by that one. And we'll go ahead and go to a hydration break here in Dallas with just under 24 minutes remaining. Oral Roberts begging to get on the scoreboard, trying to even this thing up with the number 11 SMU Mustangs. The final 24 minutes are coming up next on ESPN.
180, 180.
Hello, Patrick Mahomes.
Wait, who do you even play for?
T-Mobile. And I'm here to protect you from wireless companies that blitz you with phone deals that sack you with a 3-year device contract.
Even I can get sacked?
Not at T-Mobile. They have plans that make upgrades work for you. They even have a plan which makes you upgrade ready every year.
Thanks, man. Now can I do the thing?
Do the thing. Excellent.
Take charge of your upgrades with our Best Go 5G plans at T-Mobile.
Let's have a huddle.
You don't know what huddle is, do you?
No. Let me see something. Oh, what? Has your name always been Hulu Has Live Sports?
I guess so.
New name, same man. Meet Jalen, Hulu Has Live Sports.
Hulu Plus Live TV, your place to watch live TV. We love our house. The outdoor space is great, but we do have invasive weeds.
Ranger! He's up here!
At least Geico makes bundling my home and car insurance easy. We save so much. Stay away from my family!
For bundling made easy, go to geico.com.
Welcome back in Dallas. Upcoming broadcasts right here on ESPN Plus. The number 15 Baylor Bears volleyball team is in town to take on SMU. That is coming up in just 2 days on Wednesday night. And then on Friday night, men's soccer team takes on number 15 St. Louis. We were talking about that one earlier. The women's soccer team gets another Power 5 opponent at home. They beat Tennessee last time. They were in the friendly confines. Now they get Oklahoma State on September 10th, followed up by men's soccer against Yale. That could be another ranked matchup, Steve, just depending on how things break between now and then.
It could. Kevin Hudson is a big believer in playing quality opponents among his non-conference games, and it certainly has continued this year.
John Little with Steve Lansdale, our whole ESPN Plus crew here in Dallas. Under 24 minutes remaining. Right now the shots are pretty even. SMU with 11, ORU with 10. But the SMU Mustangs have the only goal. It came by Jose Ortiz in the final minute of the opening half. SMU with some substitutions here and a controversial foul call against Oral Roberts. They're going to give it to Juan Moreno here as he was trying to hold off Milton Lopez, who had just come on with the fresh legs.
Moreno clearly thought that Lopez was the guilty party there. And I think you could make an argument either way. It looked like they each had a fistful of the other guy's jersey. Maybe Moreno had his elbow up, which got called, but Lopez certainly had a fistful of Moreno's jersey. So I think either way, you couldn't argue too much with an official's call and went SMU's way in that case.
By the way, SMU's right outside back, Lamar Bynum, came out. He went down right before the hydration break, and so Noah Irvin, the freshman from Phoenix Desert Vista High School, is in, wearing number 36. You see the physicality of this game, not overly so, but 5-5 on the fouls right now.
Noah Irvin is an interesting player. He started the Mustangs last game up at Denver, and he's a guy that the Mustang coaches really like. He's a versatile guy who can play on the front line or in the back. Good size, good speed, and gives Kevin Hudson and his staff a lot of versatility in terms of the options of lineups they can roll out there because of number 36.
Ortiz had eyes on Mitchell. It didn't work out. And now a counterattack by ORU, but this one gets away from Damani Harris. And Johnson with that deep kick, especially with that 15-mile-an-hour wind behind him. SMU had some numbers near the edge, but Ortiz and Castro couldn't hold it. So SMU, this challenging early season schedule. Oh, that could have been a bad misplay in the back there by Atienza. But ORU able to secure it, at least for now.
Really risky by Atienza. And in fact, I think the ball hit Lopez, but just not directly enough to really knock it down. Had it been another couple of inches, or had Lopez been another little bit forward, he knocks that down, and he's going one-on-one with Gasheshak.
Gasheshak has been all but perfect in this one. And really the one goal he gave up, probably not his fault. Hey, what a play here by SMU. Alex Salvo to take it away. And Salvo trying for a one-man run down that right side. SMU trying to be chippy. They really are being scrappy, trying to come up with a cheap turnover and a threat, and Mitchell has one here. Mitchell drops it off to Ortiz. But ORU able to pounce back on top of it.
But there's something about the system and the style in which Oral Roberts plays, right? Because again, Oral Roberts' opponents have 11 yellow cards through 3.5 games. The Golden Eagles play a style that lends itself to frustration. And if they're going to be patient and make an opponent chase the ball, which certainly has happened at times this year, guys are human. It gets frustrating. You want the ball. It keeps coming back and forth in front of you, and you keep reaching for it, and eventually a mistake can be made.
Well, Roberts got trapped off sides there. SMU able to hold that line. It's that long ball for Yamazuki. Yamazaki, excuse me, was just a little too strong. He was a little too far past that defense for the offside. So 20 minutes left. Oral Roberts, their third offsides call, and SMU has 2. SMU back the other way. Jalen Mitchell after this one and into the corner. Mitchell, the freshman, turning on it. And giving it back to another freshman, Irvin. SMU on possession is Bailey Sparks, the confident junior. Holds it back for Salvo.
Kieran Pino got his feet tangled up a little bit, did the smart play, knocking it back to Oliver Hald. Mustangs regroup, and
long one for Castro, who played it while he was out of touch. Into touch.
Did a nice job almost keeping it in. You can be outside the line as long as your chest leans forward inside the line to knock it down.
I don't think he quite got there.
I don't think so. And more importantly, the referee didn't think so.
Exactly.
Or the linesman.
After a rest, 2 of the most frustrating and dangerous players for ORU are back in. We've got Reed Berry, the 4-time first-team All-Summit League member. 24 goals in his career, is back on, along with Thiago Pato, who has a goal this season as well at Cal Poly. Sophomore Brazilian has been a handful.
And Luis Flores is back. So, and this is no surprise, right? You're down a goal. You're going to put your most dangerous offensive players out there and ride or die with your best guns, and these are the guys.
Let's see if you can't score a goal, tie this thing up. Here's Mitchell looking for Castro, and it's poked away back to the middle. Sparks not able to overtake it, and Moreno throws on the brakes right there on Jose Ortiz, who just kind of ran through him. I don't think it was on purpose. I think it was just the emergency brake that Juan Moreno.
Absolutely. There's no way Ortiz was trying to take him down, but Moreno's ability to, as you said, hit the brakes.
Look at this handbrake right here.
You see him stop, and Ortiz is going 100 miles an hour. There is no way to. It's one thing to stop that quickly, but to do it after seeing the other guy stop and react and make a decision, okay, I can't run into him here, is virtually impossible.
Good play by Oliver Hald here, and Hald starts a run. Remember, he's a center back, trying to feed it through. Really aggressive look toward Ortiz.
Oliver Hald is a center back, and he doesn't come forward very often, but he is a terrific passer. And he saw Ortiz, and he tried to curl it around the backside of Atienza. And if he had, he didn't miss by much. And if he had, Ortiz is walking in one-on-one with Gasheshak.
Now it's one for the postseason, after-season highlight reel for SMU. Foul on SMU. The lead 1-0 for the Mustangs. Approaching 16 minutes left in the second half.
It kind of feels like playing against Oral Roberts is like playing against a full-team version of J.P. Jordan. It's just
I like that.
Frustrating.
J.P. Jordan, who has not been out there for the second half, by the way. And another controversial foul call. And a great opportunity at a free kick here for ORU. It'll come just to the right of center from about 25, 26 yards out.
And you're right. This is a very, very dangerous spot.
Another one against Ortiz.
And Ortiz is lobbying for a call to go the other way as Pato rolled into Ortiz as Ortiz was trying to get to the ball.
So this strike will either come from Flores or Pato. Flores with 4 goals on the season.
See great shot of Cole Johnson.
Outstanding.
Buried in the back of his own net as he directs traffic with the guys in front of him in that 5-man wall.
Looks like he's lining up a putt.
Now a 6th blue jersey joins that wall in front of Johnson.
It's a big restart. Huge free kick. Flores with the left foot curls it down and right into the waiting arms of Cole Johnson. I guess he played it right.
He certainly did. He had his guys in the right spot, not only to block part of the goal, but to give him the vision to see the ball right off the foot. And that, and luckily for Johnson, that shot basically curled right into his lap. That job of standing in the wall is so hard to do. Some guys just have it in them to stand there and throw themselves in front. And the other guys, it's human nature, right? When someone cranks a shot as hard as they can and it's coming at you at 1,000,000 miles an hour, some people you just can't help but duck out of the way as a matter of self-preservation.
Pino up the field. Mitchell was just offside. I don't know about that one, and neither did the SMU fans.
I don't either. And in fact, we talked about this in the first game or an earlier game this year where Mitchell, like Petraeus, is so fast that there will be times we're going to get another look at the offside here.
See, there's the pass, and I don't know.
I'm not sure he was off when that ball was played, because you saw the Oral Roberts defense creeping forward trying to catch him offside.
Back the other way. Here comes Quashie. Quashie plays it across, and just beyond 3, waiting, Oral Roberts, Golden Eagles. If that one's played a little bit more flat by Quashie, it might be 1-1.
Yeah, that was a very dangerous chance. Quashie made a beautiful play and almost created the equalizer for his teammates.
A lot of action within the last few minutes as Oral Roberts is desperate to try to even up this match. Here's Mitchell again. He was just called offsides. He's dispossessed.
Going back to that offsides, though, Mitchell and Petraeus are the kind of players who will have to deal with that every now and then, where when the ball is played, they are onside, but they're so fast that they accelerate, leave a defender behind them. Suddenly it looks like, how did that guy get behind the defense? They will both get called offside at some point when they are actually in an onside position, and it's one of the it's the cost of being that fast, which is a nice problem to have.
And what's bad about being fast? Maybe that. Thiago Pato is knocked down on the play. Looks like he'll also have the restart.
Every coach in the world will give up a few offside calls, even the incorrect ones, in order to have speed like that on their roster.
Instead, it's Yamazaki coming into the left side, right at the 6. Another chance for Quashie, but it is kicked into the night air by Alex Salvo. Meanwhile, the charging Ortiz politicking for a call, and one is not going to come. Instead, the stoppage here is just for a substitution.
And Kevin Hudson politicking for a call as well. I'm not sure it wasn't deserved there. Ortiz was running, obviously trying to track that ball down before it got to the touchline. From this angle, I mean, there was obviously contact. Whether it was shoulder to shoulder or whether an elbow got out and hooked one side or the other, hard to tell. Ortiz and Coach Hudson clearly thought there was an infraction there. But unfortunately, their opinions are not the ones that matter.
No, not at all. So you saw Andrew Nunez come in for Lopez, an outside back substitution. SMU with a maybe dangerous rush, but Irvin turns it back, especially with his team up by a goal, 11 minutes left. Not that SMU's exactly trying to pack it in. You remember that Rio Grande Valley game where things got so close at the end because they couldn't put in that third goal. Long ball up the middle, nice drop off, and here comes Barry. Barry turning on it, and his shot is partially blocked and away.
You mentioned the Texas Rio Grande Valley game, and we were talking about how coaches in soccer, I guess in hockey too as well, will say, oh, 2-0 is the scariest lead to have. I promise you, Kevin Hudson would rather have a 2-0 lead than a 1-0 lead now.
No doubt about it. That was a nice offering by Flores to Barry. And Golden Eagles' 2 most dangerous players getting a chance. Now Ortiz does. He's tripped with 10:24 remaining in this one. And both Ortiz and Gabriel Atienza are down.
Atienza was grabbing his left ankle. Ortiz, I think, might have gotten spiked in the ankle there, and he goes down, and then he lands on top of the ball. And there's no way that that ever ends gracefully.
Oh, they had a card as well, I believe. Yeah, it's going to be on Yamazaki. Interesting. And so that may have been unsporting. Dissent.
Yeah, he certainly didn't look like he was part of the collision. And he also didn't object very vigorously when he got the yellow card, so either he knew he deserved it or at least realized he wasn't going to change the official's mind.
And Ortiz has been able to jog off to the side to get hydrated. However, this is a tougher task for Gabriel Atienza.
Of the Oral Roberts defense, if you're Coach Bush,
Number 11 SMU leading number 25 Oral Roberts. 10 minutes left in this one and a restart for SMU after the foul and then a yellow card on Yamazaki. Sparks drives it, and an aggressive move to go straight on goal there, but fires it wide.
A line drive free kick from 45 yards out is, as you said, it's an aggressive choice. At that point, you've got to hope that Gasheshak is simply asleep at the wheel, because Sparks can really crank it, but that's a long way, and most goalkeepers will be able to get over and get in front of it.
Oh, giveaway, and here comes Mitchell. Mitchell trying to slip it. Mitchell stays on top of it. Mitchell dancing, and finally dispossessed inside the 18.
Obviously a dicey giveaway there by the Golden Eagles, but again, we saw the defensive approach they've had all night. Mitchell gets into the box, and in a flash, there are 3 or even 4 white jerseys swarming around him. He's a very talented dribbler, but there's only so much you can do with that kind of limited space.
And ORU has changed their shape with only 3 defenders now and 1 center back in Turnez, with Atienza coming out. More offensive approach with about 9 minutes left. See if it works out for them.
Yeah, the time to stand back and try to eliminate chances is over. You have to, it's not so much about transition defense as it is transition offense, getting more white jerseys in the offensive and middle thirds and creating opportunities for Barry, for Flores, for Herrera, who just came in.
And Lopez goes down. Looks like Bailey Sparks on the foul here. And ORU gets a restart. Quickly up on it. Yamazaki ready for his men to scurry into position. Yamazaki will play it back instead. Have the look he wanted at first. Yamazaki, here is the serve. Just inside the 18, knocked down, and then Bailey Sparks comes out with it for SMU. It is tugged on, it appeared, by Victor Turnez. And a stoppage is on the way. May have another card coming against ORU.
Interesting choice by Victor Turnez. He didn't like getting called for the handball. That's fine. That's understandable. But then he picked up the ball and ran away with it. Ran about 30 yards upfield toward his own goal. And if you don't get, actually the card may be a good thing for Oral Roberts, because if you don't get the call, that's just burning time off the clock when your team is down a goal against the number 11 team in the country.
Turnez with the yellow. Long feed by Westergrain, and it can't be held. On the outside there by SMU. Good look, but it wasn't one that the freshman Milton Lopez was able to go gather in. SMU bringing some fresher legs in, including Owen Zarnik to play a center back spot. Also coming into the match, Enzo Panozo, and Gilbert Dahlman is back in for SMU to play the final few minutes as Ortiz, the goal scorer, the game-winning goal at this point, sits down with a little under 8 minutes to go.
The Mustangs now 5 across the back. And Zarnik hasn't played a lot of minutes this year, but remember, he started almost all year last year, was a key figure in that back end, and he is now the biggest and strongest guy. I mean, look at the middle back. Mads Westergren, Owen Zarnik, and Oliver Hald. big, strong 3 center backs who will be able to clog up traffic.
Dahlman's fast, not quite that fast. Vitor Turnez able to turn it back to Yasheshak, who is trying and rooting to not be a hard luck loser tonight in Dallas. He has played excellently in goal for ORU. Times the Golden Eagles have been extremely pesky. Do they have that tying goal in them tonight in the final 7 minutes? Juan Marino to the edge to Herrera, but forced out, and Dahlman got it to go off of Francisco Lopez.
A bunch of the Golden Eagles didn't agree, but that's pretty normal when you're trailing with 6.5 minutes left. But very nice, one of those plays that'll never appear in a box score, but very nice play by Dahlman to keep possession for the Mustangs.
.620 to go. Yamazaki up the side, a long run for Herrera, and into touch. So it looked like the wind just kind of knocked that one down, and then it
really
takes a kick out. Probably with no wind, that Yamazaki feed is right on line to Giovanni Herrera, maybe springs him.
And when the ball was clearly going out, Kieran Pino hit the brakes to let it run, and Herrera did the right thing. Chased it into touch, picked it up, and handed it to Pino to give him no option but to throw it back into play.
Pato. Oh, nice job just to clear it into space by Enzo Panozo, the sophomore defender at 6'1". Into play. Kind of a holding midfield spot here as well. So very much a defensive lineup for SMU. Not thinking about scoring at all, but they take one if Dahlman gets sprung. Dahlman 1-on-2, looking back to the middle. Dahlman still on it until now, as Yamazaki was able to poke it away.
Yamazaki able to close ground quickly on Dahlman, but Dahlman, such a poised, savvy player, able to keep possession and almost wiggled his way through 2 defenders with Yamazaki and Turnez waiting behind him.
Yeah, all over the field here over the last few minutes has been Panozo to do the honors. He's in to do just that. Take some time off the clock.
He is fresh legs, he is high energy, and his job, go get the ball.
He's done it so far for the SMU Mustangs, who are trying to make it to 3-1 on the season. Came in number 11. They dropped their last matchup against Denver on the road, 3-1, a less than satisfactory performance. ORU comes in undefeated and the number 25 team in the nation, looking for a result. Not if SMU has anything to say about it.
And right now, SMU looks a little bit like Oral Roberts looked in the first half. It's Dahlman on offense and 10 guys playing defense. The difference is when Oral Roberts was doing it, the game was scoreless. When SMU is doing it, the Mustangs are trying to protect a 1-goal lead for the last 4 minutes.
And a slow last 4 minutes, it has to feel like, as Flores turns toward the goal and gets one on net into Johnson. And Flores, he does not waste an opportunity. He gets it on frame.
He has such a quick trigger. He's able to turn over either shoulder to his left or his right, and more often than not, he can either one-time it or settle with one touch and then get a shot away on his quick second touch. Very, very quick release, which is a significant part of why number 20 has 4 goals through the first 3 games of the year.
Johnson was stationed perfectly for the easy save. Just about 3 minutes left here in Dallas. Oral Roberts gunning for the tie. Numbers forward. Pato turns it back. Nunez back to Pato. It may have been a miscommunication, but the Golden Eagles are able to stay on the ball. Lopez, as they switch sides. Out to Herrera now. 1-on-1 with Pino. Herrera trying to break it down. Pino says no.
A lot of times an offensive player will give a couple of head fakes to try to get the defender back on his heels and make the defender react. That time it was Pino who made the initial lunge and head fake and got Herrera off his game, dribbled it out of bounds.
Atienza was injured earlier. He is back in for this throw-in. But into the wind, it is difficult. It gets knocked down. Pato back to Atienza. The serve to the top of the 6. The header is high and wide. And another look for Vitor Ternez, who has been the target on a lot of those header opportunities in this match.
Yeah, Ternez, one of the biggest guys on the field, and you saw the Mustangs brought Jeldrick Dahlman all the way back, a 6'3" striker, to come back and help out. So when that shot was headed and went over the goal line, there were 2 minutes and 11 seconds on the clock. Cole Johnson made no effort to chase that ball, picked up the spare by the side of the net, and burned almost 30 seconds off the clock before taking that goal kick.
Pino picks it away from Flores. And then a clearance by Noah Irvin as Dahlman gives chase to try to make it that much tougher on ORU with 80 seconds left here in Dallas.
And with this much time, it's not even so much about getting the ball as it is pressuring the opposing defense, making the Golden Eagles make quick decisions, and if you're lucky, force a mistake.
SMU looking for their second shutout win of the season. Oral Roberts trying to avoid their first loss. 1 minute left in Dallas. And a good drive by Oliver Hald all the way up the field. It stays in touch as well.
Jasheshak trying to get up into the offensive play here. Every goalie's dream if it works.
Atienza to Herrera. 35 seconds left. Here's Pato with a little bit of space, going for the top crossbar and trying to bend it underneath, and just skies it over. That was a really good look for Pato from about 22 yards out.
It was, and what a smart recognition by Pato, who tried to chip it over Johnson, and it looked like Johnson was caught just a little bit off guard and is taking a very deep sigh of relief as that ball dropped into the top netting of the goal.
It ends up being the final chance tonight. A goal by Jose Ortiz in the final.